Okay, so welcome everyone to our 90-day action calls. We do these we're just saying we do these every Monday at 10 a.m. They're open to all of the teams. We just want everybody to gain value from all of the leaders that we've been learning from. So today I am so excited to bring you Chelsea. And Chelsea and I met a few months back when she was in San Diego. She shared I got to hear her story 5 times. It was for Super Saturdays and different tastings and stuff. Her and her mom came out. I think they're both originally from Boston. And she has just been traveling the world this past year. She got to live in, which was her dream, got to live in Bali for 4 months. And she went to entrepreneur school actually and chose network marketing out of that, which I just think is amazing because a lot of us just kind of happen to stumble into network marketing. And she really saw this opportunity for what it was. And also got the chance to see her mom grow through network marketing and then back out of it and now return. So I cannot wait for you. And she's also one of the START ambassadors this year. So you'll see her face all over. I know she's ready to give it to you guys. So get your pens and your papers out. And I'm just so excited to learn from you, Chelsea. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. I'm so excited that you guys asked me to be here. I love being able to share with other teams and being able to just, share what I know because I feel sorry, I predicted that happening. The FedEx guy is here. Sorry. I was I saw him coming up the street. I was oh no. No, but every team does it just a little bit differently. And so I love when we get to cross line our leadership because you learn so much from it. So I love learning from you guys and I'm super excited to be sharing with everyone here. My story is so different than the average person's. And I used to be really insecure about my story. I was it doesn't have the typical flow. I would go to a David Wood event. I'm it doesn't fit in the chart. I don't understand how to share it. But I came to realize that it was so powerful because it really is the direction that this industry is going in. So my story is that I was basically introduced to network marketing in the womb. My parents were in multi-level marketing before they were even married. Then they got married, they had me, they were in the industry, and then they left the industry for 15 years. So I didn't technically grow up in the industry, but I always knew about it. It was something that we talked about. My parents, to this day still get paid an incredible income from that company. That company put me through college, which was $250,000 school. And I didn't have to pay a dime because of the residuals that they were still earning from their first multi-level marketing company, which is unbelievable. So I understood the power of residual income basically from birth. And I also understood entrepreneurship from a young age because even though they left the industry, my parents went on to be serial entrepreneurs. So being your own boss, personal development, all of those things were not new to me. So I don't have that traditional, one day I woke up and blank introduced me to this. But what's amazing about what my story shows is that this is becoming so much more prevalent in our world. And we're about 1 to 2 generations out. I would say 1 generation before it becomes pretty mainstream and 2 generations before it's just everybody knows what network marketing is, before this is really mainstream. And whenever anyone asks me how I feel about being in network marketing, because it's kind of a cuff, industry, it's on the cuff of being accepted versus not being accepted. And what I tell them all the time is that I would not want it any other way. I mean, would you want to invest in Facebook before you knew it was going to be big or no? Would you want to invest in Airbnb before you knew it was going to be big or now? Opportunity comes with risk. It doesn't come after the fact. And opportunity comes from seeing the potential in something before other people see the potential in something. That's literally the definition of being able to create something because you get to be behind the momentum of it becoming of age. So I feel so fortunate that people still don't understand completely what network marketing is and that I get to be the one to help educate them because I get to be on the forefront of an industry that's really coming of age. And we're really at a tipping point right now in our world. I mean, just the other day I was watching a TV show and the woman had a beautiful home and the guy who came into the show was you make good money. Like, what do you do? She goes, oh, I run a multi-level marketing business. And my jaw almost dropped. I was like, mainstream, like somebody in that office was like, give multi-level marketing some props there. And I think that's just we're going to start becoming so mainstream. So the first thing that I always share with people is like, you guys have to know the gold you have right now. Like, you are ahead of an industry that within 10, 15 years, but by the time we have grandchildren, will be completely mainstream. But in the next 10 to 15 years is really coming of age because it's already done its work in the past. And one of the things that I share with people all the time is most people don't know that franchising used to be considered illegal. When it first came out, it was like people did not understand the business model. They were really confused about it. They were like, this has to be a scam. You know, you're not starting your own business, because it was weird. It was like somebody else has the business model, but you have the business. It was confusing. We are not anything different. Guys, we are an online franchise. That's it. Isagenix is our franchisor. We represent the franchise brand, and we run our own online franchise with the company. And the only reason that we are, have I don't even want to say bad rap anymore, because we don't really have a bad rap. It's just confusion. Like, people really want to know with sincerity. They're like, is it a pyramid scheme? Like, what is it? And that's because of the lack of education. So what is so exciting, and why when I was asked, like, what do you want to talk about? I was like, you need to know your industry, because we are the ambassadors for network marketing, and we are charged with the responsibility to tell the world what it is, not to be defensive about it, not to be upset they don't know. You don't get upset at a child because they don't know multiplication. They were never taught multiplication. You have to understand that I went to the #1 school for entrepreneurs in the world. There was not one class on network marketing. And if I'm getting the highest education out there on entrepreneurship, and they're not talking about network marketing, and I know professors who would have knocked it because they were part of the generation that there was a lot of issues with the industry, because we have come of age and regulation has got us where we need to be, which is any industry. Guys, I mean, there's bad politicians, there's bad business owners, there's bad athletes, there's bad people in every industry, and that's why we have regulation. And we've come of age. We've figured out the kinks, and Isagenix has got it right. And so I tell people all the time, I'm like, if I didn't get the education on it, then you can't be upset that other people aren't getting the education on it, and we are charged with that responsibility. So that's a very long intro to the fact that my story is a lot different, but I knew that I was in love with this industry probably at 12 years old. And it was when I first started wearing makeup, and I got really excited about it. And so I went home and I put it on, and then I was like, I told all my friends the next day of school, and then they all came over off the bus to my house, and then I put makeup on all of them, and then they went home and bought it. And I went running downstairs because I was 12 years old and I had no hangups. And I said to my mom, I know what I'm going to be when I grow up. And she said, what? I'm going to be a professional network marketer. And she just kind of looked at me. And at this point, they hadn't been in the industry for 10 years. And so it was, it was kind of like, where did that come from? But I got it because they had always shared with me, well, it's just word of mouth. You share a product. And I was like, well, I just shared a product. I'm really good at talking. Like, this makes complete sense. And so when I went to college, I went to college with the idea that I wanted it. But it wasn't until I was a freshman in college that my parents found Isagenix. And my parents had been prospected for a bit for Isagenix, and they had always said no until they said yes. And isn't that the truth for all of us? And when they got started, I was 18 years old. And I really wasn't in a position that I knew I wanted to do network marketing as my career one day, but I was a freshman in college, and I just wanted to use the products because I had gained the freshman 15. So I got started on the Isagenix product line. I lost my freshman 15. I loved it. I brought it to school with me. I got friends started on it just because they were like, wow, you look amazing. I was in a sorority, and pretty much everyone in my sorority wanted to use it. So they got started. But I wasn't building it. And it wasn't until my senior year of college when I was like, okay, like, time to pick a career path. Like, the real world is coming, that I really took a serious look at Isagenix as being my financial home. And what I share with people all the time is that until you hear from somebody you relate to, their journey with this company or this industry, you're going to have a really hard time wanting to get on board. All we really do in this industry is share stories and share experiences over and over and over again. And we hope to connect someone to the right story and to the right experience that allows them to relate to the products or to the financial opportunity so that they can envision themselves having similar results. And so at that point, I mean, I knew I loved network marketing. I knew I loved the products. I still didn't know if Isagenix was going to be my company, right? How crazy is that? Like I'm telling you at 12 years old, I knew I wanted to do network marketing. And I'm telling you, I've already used the products for 3 years, had great results, and got my friends on it, and they had great results. And I still wasn't like, okay, this is it. I still was considering going and getting a traditional job right out of college. And this is why. The only person I had ever seen the company from is my parents. And so I thought, well, Isagenix must be for older people to have success. You must have to be in your like 50s. Like I don't have the network. I mean, my friends don't really, care too much about like long-term health. They would get on, get off, get on, get off the products. I didn't see the ability, my capability, right? So I wanted it, right? I already wanted it, but I didn't see the connector. And that connector is the stories that we share. And so they brought me out to a celebration that summer, and I was just going really just support them. And then maybe kind of like, I was like, maybe I should take a better look at if this is for me, because the timing was finally right in my life. And that was the year Peta Kelly spoke on stage, and she did the Why segment. And she was 25 years old, and she had built a massive team of other 20 to 30-year-olds that were all living a complete life of freedom, were traveling around the world, were contributing back to the organizations that they cared about. And I just remember she was like, I just want to be able to park wherever I want and not care if I get a parking ticket. And I was like, I relate to that. I relate to that on a deep spiritual level. And that was the connector for me. That was the moment it went from being, oh, that's like a cool possibility, to this is what I'm going to do now. And that's really probably where all your prospects are at. They're probably watching you or watching other people they know, and they're looking at it and saying, that's a cool possibility, but I don't see me there. And that's where we're charged with that responsibility, is helping people find that connecting piece. So people ask me all the time, they're like, how do you recruit young people? And I'm like, I'm young. Like, how do you recruit old people? Like I don't understand the question. Our stories are what connects people. So whether I don't have to be a mom of 3 kids to talk to a mom of 3 kids, but I do need to get them in front of a story that's a mom of at least some children. Dog children don't count. You have to get real children. I don't have to be a triathlete to share these products with a triathlete, but I do need to get them in front of somebody, or a story of somebody, or a post from somebody that was some type of athlete, right? Because I don't have any influence. That's really what it comes down to. Where is their influence? I love my parents. They had no influence over me in this area of my life because they weren't relatable to me. I couldn't relate to them. So long story short, I went back to college. I started building my business part-time, and that's really, the rest is kind of history. I've been building my business for a little over 3 years now. I moved home. I am a big believer in if you want something to work, don't give yourself a plan B. Now, I'm not saying you have to be as drastic as I was. I did not take a job out of college and I went all in. I highly suggest keeping your job until you are making the same amount that as your job before you quit. And a lot of people, specifically in the start group, quit way too soon because they just like see this lifestyle and they want it now. We're very microwave mentality. It was really hard for me to recruit from a place of abundance when my everything relied on getting a PIB that week. But there is something to be said about having no plan B. Like I was like, this is plan A. I burned the boats. Like that's it. And you can have that mentality without having to actually burn your boats. And you can go into it that way. And because what happens is that when you hit hardships in your business, instead of hitting your hardship and going, well, I guess I should quit because I have a plan B, you hit that hardship and you go, how do I get past it? Because I have no, like, this is it. Like plan A is the only way. So the question isn't, is this my stopping point? The question is, how do I get through it? And, Laura Stevens said something really powerful one time on stage. And she said that the difference between people who succeed in this business is those who think this is a really good idea and those who think this is the only way for their financial future. Because Isagenix really is a good idea. I don't think anyone would disagree with you that residual income is a good idea. But you don't get your kids, have them have a nanny for 3 days, get 3 days off of work, get on a flight, put yourself in credit card debt, and go to an event for a good idea. But you do for your financial future and blueprint and changing your family's lives. Right, guys? Like, you have to understand where you're at. This over here, a good idea, means you have a lot of plan Bs in place. Your financial future and this being what's going to get you there, that means there's no other option and you're just going to do it. I love what she says, and I start implementing this with my team. They say, I can't afford it. They go, great, how much money would you need to be able to afford it? $500. Okay, what's in your house we can sell? There is no other option. It's not, oh, I'll gift it to you, because that's not something that can be duplicatable down throughout your team. But I know people who have sold their refrigerator to buy their value pack. And so when people say I don't have the money, what they're saying is I don't value this as much as the money I do have, is what they're really saying. And so, what that mentality has afforded me is the fact that last year I was able to give up my lease after 2 years of building my business. It took me about a year and 8 months to get to a 3-star. I was able to give up my lease. I lived in San Diego for 2 months. I moved to Bali with other START members, and I was in there for 4 months. I went to Australia. I went to Hawaii. I went to Europe. I spent the summer on the Cape with my family. And that was me at 24. Like 24 years old, I had more freedom in my life than most people will ever have in their life at any age, even in retirement. I got to choose who I spent my day with, where I was, who I was giving back to, how I was spending my money. Like, I had every single day, to an overwhelming extent, I had all the choices, all of them. And we don't need that many choices in life. I always joke, I was like, it'd be great if I could get a boyfriend and hold me down in one spot. I have one now. It's kind of cool. But it was having choice in life, financial choice, that you can wake up and say, I want my morning routine to look like 6 a.m. wake ups because I want to. That's my wake up time, guys, because I want to, though, not because anyone's making me. Going to the gym, having food, doing prayer, doing some morning yoga, and then starting my workday around 11. I had that choice. I wanted to go see a waterfall that day. I had that choice. I wanted to, get on a plane and go meet up with a friend whose 25th birthday it was in Ohio, but it was in the middle of the week. I had that choice. And those choices afford us a lot. They afford us basically, lack of choice or abundance of choice is really the criteria for what you build a life on. At the end of the day, you can want whatever life you desire, but if you don't have the choice if you don't have the ability to actually choose it, then those wants will stay wants. They'll stay on your vision board. So you have to create that ability to choose to whatever extent you need to be choosing, whether it's to stay home with your kids or whatever it is. And so, now I'm back in Boston, and I'm continuing to build my business. But it's been a really exciting journey. And, when I was coming on here to talk today, I really was my story, while I tell it to you guys, I'm sharing with you why you have to understand this industry. You have to understand that it's coming, it has come of age, and that we are on the precipice of massive, what's the right word for it? Understanding. There's a chart, and it goes like this. It's like a business chart, and it shows you when you have the people that come on board, they're the early adopters, and then you have the early majority, and you have a tipping point, and then you have the mass majority and the laggards, right? We're just coming up to that tipping point, guys. We're the early majority, and you don't really want to get involved in something as a late majority, because you kind of miss the boat at that point. You're a little late coming to the party. People have already figured it out, and we get to show up and be the stand for this industry. And we get to decide that this is what I'm going to do. Plan A, this is my financial future, no matter what. And a lot of the time people ask me, you know, what is it that you attribute your success to? Like, what's the number one thing that you would say has given you your success? And I will tell you without a doubt is environment. I have chosen, and this is a choice, guys, to only surround myself with people who were going and succeeding in life, and specifically in Isagenix. And to an extreme, like I lived at home with my parents who were building Isagenix. I moved into Boston with a girl who's building Isagenix. I moved to Bali with a girl who's building Isagenix. I moved to San Diego with a girl who's building Isagenix. My friend group that I hung out with, building Isagenix. Because I needed, like I say, when you have those wall kicking moments, when you have those moments where it is going to be easier to quit than to keep going, there has to be something that keeps you going. And the thing in this industry that keeps us going, honestly, more than anything, typically, no, always is our environment. Because if you're sitting at home in an environment and in a community that's telling you that's stupid over and over and over again, it's like, just don't do that. Come out and drink. You know, you don't need to be doing that. That, you know, just stay at your job. This, we don't need that. You're trying too hard. You're working too much. You know, this isn't working out for you. Whatever the story is that they're telling you over and over and over again, guess what? It's normal for us all to have those thoughts. I've had those thoughts. But I'm in an environment that those thoughts will be gone like that, because one of us is always having a good day. And, you know, I feel more when I had like this Peru trip that was coming up, I felt more obligated to run like heck for Peru, because I would be letting my friends down, not if I didn't make it there. Then I felt obligated to just make it to Peru because it was building my business. Like, that's really the reality that we have. And Eric Worre makes he made a really good point at Influencer Summit last year. He said, when people join a network marketing business, whether it's for the products or for the business, there's a line. And that line is easier to stay versus easier to leave. And most of us, when we join, or all of us when we join, we're already on the side of easier to leave. So the second we spend a value pack over a 30-day, it's easier to stay because we spent more money. The second we make one friend, it's easier to stay. The second we make $1, it's easier to stay. The second we go to one event, it's easier to stay. The second we have a transformation, it's easier to stay. And our job as leaders is to help every single person that comes onto our team get over that line. And I truly believe that that line comes down to community and environment. And so for those of us that are in an environment that we can get access, maybe you live in San Diego because you guys have a huge group of you there and you guys can get together once a week, or you can go to a workout class with somebody and you can be on these Zoom calls. Like, that's why these Zoom calls are so important. It's not because you might not learn anything you didn't know today or any of the days, but you were around people who are doing what you're doing. And that makes you feel like you can keep going. And that's really what it is. And if you're not around that, you know, when I was living at home, yes, my parents were building, but I was the only young person in the entire area that was building this. And I was by myself and I was living in a basement with no windows. Like, I needed to plug in. So I was in podcasts every single day, all day long. I flew out to events that were network marketing, whether they are Isagenix or not Isagenix. I went to every single one of them. You're not committed to this, guys, if you're not going to 4 Isagenix events a year, period. Because, like, I always tell people, I'm like, if you want this, it's not a good idea, guys. It's your financial future, right? What's the difference? A good idea is I should probably make it to an event because that might train me and I might get a little bit more knowledge. Okay. A good idea probably is never going to come to fruition. It's also a really good idea for me to go to the gym, but if I have something else going on, I might not go. It's also a really good idea for me to do personal development. It's a really good idea for me to, like, work on my friendships. Like, there's a lot of things in life that are a really good idea that we just don't ever get around to. If it is my financial future and what I hold my entire success in, of my entire future, the blueprint for the success of my life, which it can be, which Isagenix can be, whether you love your career or not, because wealth does not come from your career. It comes from creating wealth. I tell people all the time, the biggest mistake we make is think that our careers are what our income should come from. Have a career because you love your career. Create wealth because you're smart enough to know how to create wealth the right way. And if you know that, then you're not showing up to an event. I never questioned if I had the money to go to an event. Guys, I moved home was living out of my parents' basement, was cycling 2 to 3 times a week, and I never missed an event. No, I didn't put myself into debt over it. I worked my butt off to make sure I could pay for it with my Isagenix income, but I never missed an event. And the reason for that is because I was told that every single successful person in Isagenix went to events. I was like, well, I definitely wasn't going to be the one person that was successful and didn't go to events. And so I did it. So, that's really the environment that you put yourself in will be the environment you become. And it's so cliche. It's the 5 people you spend the most time around. It's the, that you become their income, you become their attitude, but it is the truth. And the number one reason when people ask me, what has contributed to your success, I go, I can't imagine that I'd be that successful if I hadn't put myself in those environments, even in the times that I didn't want to be in them. Because my mom will tell you any day of the week, I call her up probably more than any of her personally enrolled members telling her I'm quitting. And because we have those moments, like the superstars on stage didn't go through that. They don't not have their doubts. I have my doubts all the time. I wanted to cry last night when my manager wouldn't go through and I was like, I need the 10 points. We go through that, but the environment of everybody else around you saying, just keep going is what changes it. I know are we ending at 1:30?
They usually like 45. You're good.
Okay.
You can keep going. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So that's kind of a lot of what I was going to talk about. And then there's some other topics that I'd like to talk about, but if anyone has a question before I kind of gear the other stuff I would talk about, I'd be happy to talk about a specific thing. If not, I have some topics I can talk about. You can just type it in the chat if you have a question.
Yeah, I'm like writing so many notes right now. It's insane. But I also loved, like, from what I remember, and you might talk on this, but I want to make sure you do a little bit, is cool. You said something like, in order to be extremely free, you have to give up freedom for a while.
Yeah.
And I just, like, you talked about that, and you did a little bit how especially the younger people are like, I want to be free. And then they don't come back, like, and land down, which is what you're doing right now, is like putting that back into your team. So I just wanted to make sure you talked about that. Yeah,
that's awesome. I wasn't going to talk about that, so thank you for bringing it up. So this was something, I had a really big epiphany when I was at Celebration in Australia. So I think that we are sold a dream with Isagenix and network marketing in general, and that dream is financial freedom. And it's not something that we all achieve. A lot of us achieve some financial success. They achieve bringing on some additional income, but financial freedom is literally creating an income stream that runs whether we are working or not, right? Like, that's the idea. That's the goal, is to be able to have an income stream that pays me a full-time salary, whether I'm working or not, because now I'm free to do whatever I want. And that's the dream that we're sold. And for some reason, when we come into network marketing, we feel like we should have that the day we start. Like, well, that's what I bought. But you're not buying a product. Like, you're not buying financial freedom. You're not like, okay, I bought my Valley Pack. Where's my financial freedom? You earn it. And you earn it through blood, sweat, and tears. Because like, my mom has said this to me before, and to other leaders on our team before, but like, when you complain about not making enough, just ask yourself, is there another company out there that would pay you as much as it has for the amount of effort that you've put in? And you have to really get honest with yourself. Like, would my full-time job pay me my full-time salary for the amount of hours and time and energy I'm putting in? And if you're, before you start, because people get really frustrated in the beginning. But the thing about network marketing is that network marketing is an investment, just like starting your own business is, because it is starting your own business. The difference is that in network marketing, we have a beautiful compensation plan that rewards us for building our business. In any other industry in the world, if you were to start your own business, I know my parents will tell you this, they've started their own businesses before. When my mom started her skincare company and invested tens of thousands of dollars to buy product, to do all the work for hours, for about a year, she developed the product, put the marketing together, went in, tried to get into salons, did all of the work. And at the end of the day, when the deal fell through and her business didn't end up taking off, she got paid nothing. My dad, who has a successful business, he had to go get his licensing. He had to build his client base from scratch. He had to do all of the work, and he barely got paid until he broke even and then was getting paid. We understand when we start traditional business that it's an investment and that it's a risk and that we have to work really hard. For some reason, when we get into network marketing, we want to be paid immediately. And we get really annoyed when we aren't getting paid immediately. And so, and the funny thing is that we're actually getting paid very, very well up front. Like the reason why Isagenix pays you PIBs is because they're incentivizing you like a little Easter bunny, like chasing a carrot, like, okay, enroll customers. Okay, rank advance your customers. Okay, get them, to share. Like everything they do is basically paying you to do what you're supposed to do if you were just a traditional business owner. And what's amazing is like what I love is that I really believe that network marketing is the catalyst for entrepreneurship. It's like the playground for potential entrepreneurs. This is the no fail, rubber edged side of entrepreneurship, where people are literally going to give you a gold star as you participate in building your future along the way. And when you actually get there, then yay, you actually have your end result and you can't actually lose any money. It is the most bubble wrapped version of entrepreneurship there is in the world. It's incredible. And because it is, sometimes we come on board and we become entitled for what we deserve. And we don't put in the effort and the energy and the work ethic that we should be, because we want what we feel like we bought into immediately. And so the epiphany that I had when I was at Celebration is that I had become a great producer in network marketing. I was really, really good at enrolling people. I was really good at getting them to enroll people. I wasn't so great at helping them enroll people, like getting them to enroll people, but then it stopped there. And network marketing is never, unless you make it to the third tier, you're not in network marketing. You're really just in direct sales. You have a lot of great customers who have good experiences and might share with a couple people. The third level is where network marketing starts. That's really where it starts. And so you get paid extraordinarily well in this company for rising up other people and for being a leader. That's really where it comes down to. Network marketing is not about being an incredible producer. It's not about your ability to sell the product. It's not about your ability to become an executive either. Even it's about your ability to create executives who create executives. It's about your ability to change other people's lives. And leadership is a lot of responsibility. But we're sold the idea that we're going to get involved in network marketing and we're going to have financial freedom, which means that we'll have no more responsibility. Like that's the dream. Like I was like all for it. I was like, great. Like I want to go travel the world. And so I was sitting here and I was having a very weird moment in my life where I was like, I want to be the number one income earner under 25. I want to be the Peta Kelly that speaks on stage and everybody loves her because she's giving back to the world. And I want to do all of these things. And then I was like, but I want to go travel the world and I want to go have this ton of fun. And in one hand, I was saying, make me important, give me the money. And the other hand, I was like, I want the freedom. And you can't have both at the same time. It just doesn't work that way. And so I was like, yes, give me responsibility. No, don't give me responsibility. Yeah, I want the responsibility. No, don't give me the responsibility. And you're doing this back and forth. And what happens is that the best example I can give you is it's kind of like a family. And you have this family and you start as a child in network marketing. You come on board and you are completely confused and you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to walk, talk, eat, and you just need a parent to take care of you. You need a parent to come in and to baby you and to teach you the basics and to get you on your feet. And then you get to the point where you're like a kid and you're like, okay, I can do this on my own. I mean, I still need some supervision. Like, can you please, can you take care of me sometimes? But I got this. Then you become a teenager. And this is where most of us get stuck in network marketing. This is where I was in my business for a really long time, which was apropos because I was pretty much a teenager in real life, is that you want to have all of the you want all the benefits of being the adult. You want to earn your own income. You don't want your parents to tell you what to do. You want to make your own team. You want to, give out your own rewards. You want to be the leader now, right? You want to be the one that speaks on events. But at the same time, you don't really want all the responsibility. As a typical teenager, right? Mom, I know what I'm doing. I can do everything on my own. I don't need a curfew anymore, but you're still going to pay my cell phone bill, right? It's this really awkward gap and everyone goes through it. We're like, I'm ready to be a leader. but that you're not ready to take the responsibility of being a leader, which is really taking complete ownership of your team. Because leadership is when you are giving up all of your freedom so that your team can have freedom. That's true leadership. See, then you get to become a parent. And now you're in charge of all the kids. And you're teaching them everything, and you're giving up all, but it's so rewarding, right? Because being a parent's rewarding. I don't know this for sure, but I've been told. And you're taking care of these babies, and it's a lot of responsibility. And you have some pain in the ass teenagers on your team that are like, don't want your help, but still want you to be like, give their team the incentives that you give our team. And they want to run their own calls, but like, they're not ready to run their own calls. And you have all that going on, and you're just like, kind of have like a major headache. And then you get to be the grandparent. The grandparents have true financial freedom. Grandparents are the 1%ers in this industry because they actually went from teenager to parent and made it to grandparent, because the parents are taking care of everything, and they get to come in and go, can I give you guys treats? And they get to just love all their team and love them all, but they've already raised their children. They help them become sufficient teenagers. They help them become great parents. And they get to sit in their retirement in network marketing. And so what I want you guys to understand is that you come into this industry and you go from being a kid or a baby to a kid to a teenager, and most of us get stuck at teenager. And we at teenager level want all of the benefits without all the responsibility. And I was listening to, and if you've never heard it, go type in Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last. It's a YouTube video, and there's also a book, but the YouTube video will save you a lot of time. And it explains that what true leadership is. He says, we have no problem giving, one of the guys the corner office and the biggest salary. No one complains about that. We had no problem back in caveman days knowing that we would give the, that the guy got to eat first, and he got all the women, and he got like the nice fur and all of that. He goes, why? Because it was an exchange. Because when the world came, they protected them. They provided safety and stability. And guys, we're in an industry that is extremely unsafe for the team that's joining you. It's so unsafe. They are joining an industry that gets ragged on. They're joining, a product that people complain about. You're doing a shake thing. They are going to be attacked by the world. And you have to be that sense of security. You have to provide that safety. They're joining something that they have no idea what they're doing. They're confused. They're running around with their head chopped off. What do I say? What do I do? How do I enroll them? How do I bring a leader? How do I get them to an event? What's a three-way call? What's a PIB? They're lost. And as a teenager, you're kind of like, but I'm over here in Bali having a really great time. Like, can you just figure it out for yourself? And as a parent, you're like, all right, let's sit down. Let's get you through this. And so what you have to understand is that you can stay at that level. I would say that if you don't want to ever take on the massive responsibility of actually becoming a true leader in this company, you can create some financial success for yourself that's probably about 3-star or below. And that's a great income stream. And you can have that for a couple, probably 10 years. Be amazing. But the real income, that is that legacy income that you can will to your children, that is here forever. You are rewarded that for giving something to everybody else. And that is for showing up as a leader, for taking responsibility, for giving up your freedom now so that you can have massive freedom later. Because right now you don't get to be free. You get to be the person who sits down and has a schedule that shows up, that their team can rely on, that they know you're there for them, that's providing the systems and the place that they need, that's always at the event that for them. If your team's going to event, not that you have to be at every event that they're going at, but it's set up properly for them, that they don't let your team. Now, this doesn't mean baby them. Like, you want to empower them 100%, but you need to give up some of your freedom now so you can have massive freedom later. Otherwise, just be okay with the fact that you're never going to get to that full legacy income. You're going to stay at this really incredible financial success right down here, which is totally fine. And you can have your financial freedom. You can have your freedom right now and have this amazing income stream, which a lot of people stay at, you know, they have this 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 a year income, which is incredible, which is what I had while I was traveling the world, kind of like, okay, team, like, stop bothering me. No, I wasn't that mean, but I was like, I didn't want to take the responsibility of really, like, did I have a schedule? Where did they have access to me? Did they know what their systems were? Was I taking that massive responsibility of becoming a parent? No. So I knew, I was like, I want the ability to go to the next level in my leadership. I wanted to be able to, you know, Peta Kelly, when she spoke on stage, the reason why she had people screaming at the top of their lungs, so excited about her being on stage, was because she gave up 2 to 3 years of her life where she was working 12-hour days. She's a little crazy. You don't have to do that. Where she was doing everything for her team. She was providing the Wellness Wednesday. She was getting on the call. She was making sure she was at the event. She was showing up for them. She was working on her personal development. She was working on her leadership so that she could lead them better. She was doing everything she could to become the best version of herself so that she could lead them at the best way possible. She was rising up her team members so that they could be leaders. She would put in the effort and the work. And so when she spoke on stage, the reaction was visceral. And you notice this when you have certain leaders get on stage that have these huge teams that just love their leader. They love their leader because they gave up their freedom and then they took on responsibility for that time period so that they could become the leader that could help them succeed. And that's really, you just have to make a choice of who you want to be, and both are fine. There's no right or wrong. You can be either. You can stay at that level, but know that I think the hardest gap is wanting this and not understanding why you're here. And that gap was what that aha moment for me was when I was like, got it. I need to be a much better leader and I need to give up a little freedom now so I can take on the responsibility. I think that's about it.
I love it. Thank you so much. Also, I was just looking at the questions. We had one question for you about, for someone who has no local team yet, what would you suggest for staying engaged and keeping your belief?
Okay, awesome question. So first and foremost, what you think about first thing in the morning will dictate your whole day. So you should be listening to an Isagenix podcast every single day, first thing in the morning, not just a regular podcast, not just some motivational thing. It should be Isagenix. The reason for that, I mean, we have a team call on my team Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. The reason why is because I don't want you just motivated. I want you Isagenix minded. You know, I wasn't just around other people that were successful. I was around Isagenix people that were striving for success. The difference is that we can easily get distracted. We live in a world now today that everyone's selling something. Oh, I should start a podcast. Oh, I should start a mastermind. Oh, I should start a, online YouTube channel. Oh, I should start a Facebook group. Like, there's no short of things you can do. I tell people all the time, I'm like, we live in a world that, people are like, opportunity only knocks once. That's actually not the problem. Opportunity knocks once a minute. There is no shortage of opportunity in today's world. Our issue today is actually just picking one and staying focused and not getting distracted from that one. So if you're choosing Isagenix as your financial vehicle, don't get distracted from it. So find network marketing podcasts. David Wood has one. Eric Worre obviously has them. Then you have Isagenix podcast, the actual thing. So I would listen to one of the wealth podcasts or the Transforming Your Lives podcast every morning. And then the other thing is that go to meetup groups and stuff around people that are motivated people. So getting around other people who have positive mindsets are huge, and get to events. Like it's more important for you than anyone else to get to an event. Whether it's a local Super Saturday and you have to drive 3 hours, I don't care. You might learn nothing. That local Super Saturday will recharge you for the next month. Whether it's going to an ICU, a UIA, getting to NYKO, those events will recharge you. They're your recharge button. And while you grow your local team, it will be really important for you to, more than anyone else. You just have to recognize that for you, it's more important than anyone else. Is there any other questions?
That's so good. I just like love what you're saying about the opportunity. Like once a minute, it's so true, especially if you're on Instagram, like every 5 seconds, I'm getting somebody else asking like, are you in network marketing already? Have you heard of da, da, da? And it's like all these shiny objects that we have everywhere. And it's just like putting your head down and staying in your lane. And so listening to our actual Isagenix podcast instead of like going on all the things, first thing, such a good idea. I love that. I'm not seeing any other questions. You guys, if you have any other questions, this would be your time to type them in and I will make sure I see them. I think I'm just scrolling up. I think that was the only one. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been awesome.
Yeah, we are so glad you could join us. I know you are so busy. I cannot wait. Like Meredith and I say all the time, we cannot wait until you're like on stage, like training at all the events because
I will be training in NYKO. So
you are.
Yeah. After California, they reached out to me and my mom. So we're training at NYKO.
Great. Perfect. We all get to be blessed by your like vision casting and your wisdom. I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
So thank you again for, I know you have so many different like things pulling your attention and your time. So we really appreciate you joining us on this call. And for everybody else on here, if you want to share this with your teams, Julie linked the YouTube link in the chat. So make sure you grab that link so that you could share it with all of your teams because this was like solid gold. And we will see you next Monday at 10 a.m. I think we have Whitney Lambert on, right, Julie? I think we have Whitney next week. I can't tell.
Mark Ostrowski, the current IsaBody champion, is on next week. And then Whitney is the following week. So we have a great lineup taking us into the new year. So, yeah.
Yay, I'm so excited. So we'll see you all next week. Have a good Monday.
Bye, guys.